On today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, Derek Stingley speaks. He's happy for the cornerback market, happy for himself. But we're all confused about what Nick Caserio was doing with that offensive line. Cam Robinson?
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, wake up. It's time to talk Texans. We are your credential media members. I'm John Hickman, and the man with the big hat and the even bigger smile, Brian Big Sarge Badfield, on the other side of the screen, on the other side of your headphones if you're listening in the car or wherever you're going. Thank you for making the Locked On Texan podcast a part of your daily spin. I appreciate it. We appreciate it for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode, we will be diving into why we are confused about Cam Robinson now being a Houston Texan. And, we'll talk about Tytus Howard always been a team player, restructuring his contract to open up additional cap space for the Houston Texans this year. The thought is that they're going to use that money to, invest, and they did with Cam Robinson. So we'll dive into that, but we open up today's episode talking about Derek Stingley. While we're all happy for him, and ultimately why he's happy for the cornerback market. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Big Sarge.
Greetings and salutations, Mr. Hickman.
It's time to talk Texans. Derek Stingley got the bag. We talked about it on Wednesday's episode. Well-deserved bag. Had an opportunity where you guys had an opportunity in the media to speak with Derek Stingley Wednesday afternoon. And
I already know.
I am sorry. Before we talk about it, Derek Stingley, when I got the transcript, it was only like one or two sentences on every response from Derek Stingley. When you watch the press conference live, if you haven't watched it, go back on YouTube. Very short responses. And that's just Derek Stingley. Like, he's a humble superstar, a superstar in the making, but he's a humble star here in Houston. Not a man of many words, but he's a man of appreciation, and that's where we'll start, just talking about Derek Stingley being appreciative of coming back to Houston to get the job.
Hey, John, real quickly. Derek Stingley do press conferences like somebody do a speed dating.
Trying to get it over with.
Quickly.
Sarge, you had an opportunity to ask Derek Stingley about, just the expectation of CJ Johnson coming over here, and also what he's looking forward to for Kamari Lassiter and Kalen Bullock with the rookies going into year two. So I think that's a perfect way to start right there. Just, hearing from Derek Stingley about what he believes his relationship with Kamari Lassiter and Kalen Bullock will look like.
Derek, what does it mean to you to, we know the contract, we know the accolades, but to set that example for the players that are coming behind you? I mean, since day one, Kamari and Kalen has been calling you all pro Sting. What does it mean for them to see you get paid like this and to make you the highest paid cornerback in the league and to set that example for them?
I mean, I think that they just see like just the work you put in is what you're gonna get out of it. I mean, I never really cut corners when it comes to working out, or I don't know, like you work hard at something, and at the end of the day, like what you put in is what you're gonna get out. So I mean, hopefully they can see that and they see it. So I can't wait for them when it's daytime.
John, I'm gonna tell you like this. On the show 2 days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, when I said that if hard work was a person, it would be Derek Stingley Jr. He is the true definition of hard work. Even during that press conference, we know that it had been reported that Derek was working out when he found out that he got the big contract extension from the Houston Texans. And on Wednesday, we found out he was working out with his dad. His dad is the one that told him, "Hey, man, the deal is done." He said, "What? That's crazy," and continued to work. And so one of the reasons why I really asked him that question is because, when Derek first came into the league, there wasn't a lot of people that he could look up to on the defensive side of the ball as far as the defensive backfield was concerned. except Steven Nelson. And he talked about how Steven Nelson really helped him out a lot, how Steven Nelson was a really good vet for him. And so to see him be able to give back, and when you look at it, we talked a lot about how much Kamari Lassiter appreciates what Derek Stingley Jr. does, appreciates who he is, appreciates how he helps him. But although they're in the defensive meeting together, him and Kalen Bullock, they're not in the same room together for the most part. I mean, the cornerbacks go in one room, the safeties go in one room, and then they talk about that when they're on the field. They practice, separately. But for Kalen Bullock to look at Kamari Lassiter look at Derek Stingley Jr. and listen to how much Kamari raves about him and then watches his work ethic and watch everything that he does. Sometimes, John, I think I said this on a previous show as well. Sometimes people get it confused that, the highest paid means that they're supposed to be a leader. The highest paid, the contract is supposed to dictate leadership. No, if you're a leader, you're a leader. Whether you are the highest paid or you are the lowest man on the totem pole. If you're a leader, then you're a natural leader. And that's all Derek Stingley did. John, there was nothing more that Derek Stingley wanted to do than to set the example of how to achieve what he has achieved. And the only way to be able to do that is to show his work ethic and to show that he shows up every day. He shows that he's willing to work. He shows that he's working after practice. And of course, every NFL player, they're not playing the game for free. They want to get paid. Derek Stingley has already been at a position where in college he was the best college cornerback in the game. And now in the NFL, he's the best college cornerback in the game. The problem is, John, when he was the best cornerback in college, that still wasn't good enough for him. He felt like he could do better. Now that he's that way in the NFL right now and the contract shows it, he wants to be better. And so to see him at that podium with his family right there in the front, his dad watching intently, Derek is one of those ones, like we said earlier. He doesn't really like to talk to the media a lot, but when his family is there, he feels more comfortable. And John, we talked about this before, what his family has been through with his grandfather. And I think that the one thing that Derek Stingley Sr. always wanted to preach was you could be the best. You have the opportunity to be the best. It's in your genes. It's in your DNA. And I mean, he just went out and proved it. So, to hear him talk today, I was glad to see him because I know that he is finally getting his just due.
Oh yeah, I mean he gonna bring a whole nother like just like Kamari, like craziness. Like CJ, he gonna bring that too, and I think he'll gel well with the rest of us, and we just gonna go out there and have fun.
That was Derek Stingley talking about the addition of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And what I wanted to say about Derek Stingley was which was something that he didn't necessarily say at the press conference, but DJ Bieniemy, a friend of ours, dropped a great article on ESPN. And in that article, Derek Stingley said receivers are starting to touch $40 million annually. We're the people that are going out there and competing against them. I think it's good that the cornerback position and other defensive positions are starting to get up there too in terms of pay. But I think it's just good for the sport. Obviously, with time, it's going to keep going up. So I'm excited to see who's going to make the next deal like that. And honestly, that's just where I think of all of the things that I've heard from Derek Stingley, and majority of the things that I've heard from Derek Stingley were always in silence. That's where I think that's probably where I've seen the most in terms of like leadership and understanding like what his role in the NFL, not only the Houston Texans, but in the NFL will look like. You got a guy that is a cornerback one in the NFL. Again, it's him and PS2 right now. And I honestly think, aside from combat sports, cornerback is the hardest physical position to play. Again, we're not talking about boxing. I'm not talking about UFC. I'm not talking about sports where they, throwing hands. I'm talking about organized sports in terms of teammates and, defense versus offense, the whole nine. Cornerback is the hardest physical sport to play. And he's playing it at the highest position, going up against some of the tougher cornerbacks in the NFL. The play he made on Tyreek Hill to ice the Miami game, Like that was a game, that was a play where you go back and say, how did he know that was coming? And how did he make that play? So I think for me, hearing Stingley, reading Stingley say that, I think speaks volumes to where he knows he is right now. Like, I'm one of the best guys, and we're seeing guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and so on and so forth. Another LSU guy, Jettas, they are continually breaking the bank. It's going up and up and up and up. So now my 30 million means no, not only am I the best, but y'all got to start looking around the league and saying these young cornerbacks that are coming up also deserve more because we are playing the harder physical position in all of sports that is not combat sports. So shout out to Stingley for recognizing that.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything that you said, John. And those wide receivers that you mentioned. I mean, Derek went up against them, and Derek had some great days against those guys in college. And so, yeah, so you're looking at that. And John, you're looking at that LSU pedigree when you're talking about Joe Burrow, when you're talking about Jamar Chase, when you're talking about Justin Jefferson, when you're talking about Derek Stingley Jr. So I guess the only person left to get paid is Austin Deckles.
Yeah, we'll see. Thank you. I don't know. I'm going to close the show. We got to talk about Tytus Howard restructuring his contract, which opened up for the Houston Texans to sign Cam Robinson. The shock that confused the Texans world. So we got more of that coming up. Texan fans, before we dive into the confusion, it's time to talk about Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork businesses give you flexibility by connecting them with top freelancers across multiple industries. I mean, you're not going to beat that, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a few days, multiple qualified candidates will hit you up, and you'll have a multitude of guys to choose from. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. And also, Texas fans, perfect opportunity to let you guys in on, it's not a secret no more, but Gametime, right? You got NCAA March Madness going on, so you'll be able to maybe get down to where they're hosting it out here in Texas. The Rockets are on fire right now. Playoffs are around the corner. Baseball season is kicking off in a few days, and Gametime has you covered. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game in person, and we understand getting tickets can be stressful, but not with Gametime. It shouldn't be stressful. Gametime comes in, and they make it easy to grab last-minute tickets at unbeatable prices. Also, they give you a peace of mind. You can view your seat before you buy, no surprise fees, and the lowest price guaranteed. You can book with total confidence. And if you find a deal somewhere else that is cheaper, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download Gametime, the app, or visit the website at Gametime.com. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. That is LOCKEDNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Welcome back, Battle Red Nation, to the Locked On Texans podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, John, on Wednesday, Tytus Howard restructured his contract to be able to give the Houston Texans a little bit more cap space, a little more cap relief. And before you read the numbers, and before you give your thoughts, before you give your thoughts on the restructuring as far as the numbers are concerned, what does that say about Tytus Howard, John? What does that say about him being a team player and still doing what's best for the team and showing that, hey, look, although you traded my best friend on the team, I don't take it personal. I want to do whatever is best for the team.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows his willingness to stick around. We had a whole nother topic to talk about for Tytus Howard today, guys. And it was more so about, the expectations for Tytus now that Laramie is gone and he's the vet on that offensive line, at least until they, sign Cam Robinson, which we'll get into. But I mean, it adds to that conversation. Just being a leader, looking around, we got to get better. He's a guy that has been through probably the most turmoil on that offensive line since he's coming to the NFL for the Houston Texans. Always switching positions, always moving around, playing on a bad team, playing on a sorry team, playing on an up-and-coming team. He's a vet now in year 7, year 8. And again, just to make that decision, it speaks volumes to the type of person Tytus is, excuse me. And when I look at the contract restructure, the Houston Texans were able to convert part of the salary into $14.33 million of a signing bonus. That gave Houston a lot of flexibility. That gave Houston the opportunity to go out there and make a signing like Cam Robinson, which for me, Sarge, I try to find a reason to kind of just justify it. And I think because it happened so fast, I didn't necessarily get time to just research. Like, we've seen Cam Robinson play football, good and bad. I'm just extremely confused. Who's going to go inside? Who's going to stay out of tackle? You don't sign Cam Robinson, and I'm going to give it back to you, but you don't sign Cam Robinson to a contract for a 1-year deal with a max value up to $14.5 million. You don't sign that for him to be a swing tackle. That's a starter for offensive line. So with Tytus, doing what he does, is he going to stay at guard? Is he going back out at right tackle, left tackle? Do they flirt with the idea of moving Cam inside? Do they flirt with the idea of moving Blake Fisher inside? What does that do for the Houston Texans draft plans? This is one of those times where I was so stunned, I'm confused on what's the next step.
John, I will dive into to Cam Robinson a little bit more in our third segment, but I want to just take the time to talk about Tytus Howard right now. And the reason why I'm going to talk about Tytus Howard, John, is because you made a great point. You said he's a vet, right? Tytus Howard right now is a vet. We're talking about a player that's still here that none of the a lot of the Houston Texans fans did not want. You remember they wanted, was it Andre Dillard out of Washington State? Was it Washington? I can't remember. Andre Dillard, who went to the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, they didn't want Tytus. And so, John, I'm gonna be honest with you, even in the media workroom when Tytus was selected in 2019 in the first round, half of the room was rejoiced and the other half looked like, what the hell did the Houston Texans just do? And I'm going to leave it up to your imagination and the fans, listeners, and viewers. I'm going to let you imagine how that went. But Tytus Howard has been nothing but professional, John. Nothing but professional throughout his entire time he has been with the Houston Texans. He has done everything that they have asked of him, John. Does he want to play right tackle? Of course he wants to play right tackle. That's the position that he loves to play. But you turn around and you look in, now, I mean, Tytus may be starting at right guard. You look up, Tytus may be starting at left guard. You look up, Tytus may be starting at left tackle. Center is the only position that they haven't asked Tytus to play yet. And so when you look at what he did on Wednesday by restructuring his contract to help out the team, that's all he's ever done. He's taken a lot of criticism, of course. He had some plays where he did not look good, but he had a lot of plays where he did look good, John. I don't think that a lot of people remember that, Tytus has done a hell of a job going up against TJ Watt. Like, he's done a really good job of going up against some of the better, defensive ends. And like I say, in the NFL, John, nobody plays a perfect game. Nobody plays a perfect game. There's always going to be mistakes, but you're just trying to make sure that your good plays outweigh your bad plays. And so when it comes to Tytus, I'm not surprised that he did that, and he did that for the team. And, a lot of people, I think that if I'm not mistaken, he's getting ready to come up on a contract extension here sometime soon as well, if I'm not mistaken. Or did the restructuring do something? I haven't gotten a chance to really look into it because I've been busy, with Derek Stingley, and then all of a sudden, the Cam Robinson news dropped. And so, but when I'm looking at it, John, I'm saying to myself, Tytus Howard has done nothing but whatever the team has asked him to do, whatever the coaches has asked him to do. And he's taken a lot of criticism for that. I mean, you're asking a guy to come in and play the left guard position at 3/4 is the way into the season, a position that he hasn't played in how long? And so I just look at it as he is one of those guys who I think that should be, given more praise than criticism for his willingness to be a team player, his willingness to do whatever the team ask him to do, including restructuring his contract.
Yeah, and shout out to Texans Cap on Twitter, who broke the news. Houston and Tytus Howard agreed to restructure his contract, creating nearly $11.5 million in cap space for 2025. And we're gonna dive into Cam Robinson. I'm legit shocked. I didn't see that. And of all of the things, like you can look at, let's talk about Cam Robinson when we come back, because it's just like, what do the Houston Texans do?
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Welcome back in, Locked On Texan listeners and viewers. At the time of this recording, and I guess we're not necessarily confused anymore, the Houston Texans and Danielle Hunter have agreed to a 1-year, $35.6 million contract extension that makes him the NFL's second highest paid defensive end. Hunter will make $32 million this season, a $12.5 million raise, and $55.1 million, which of that, 54.1 is fully guaranteed over the next 2 seasons. So I guess we're not necessarily too confused anymore. The $12.5 million raise, I think that comes directly from Tytus Howard. Restructuring his contract. Sarge,
Aziz is next. Restructure.
I don't know, man. I guess. I don't know. Like we are local experts. There's times when we come on the show and everything we say, it pans out, but that's a major raise. That's a major bump. Give it to you. It just, to me, regardless of what happens moving forward, I know the Houston Texans are going to hit the draft hard when it comes to finding a receiver, and it feels like some of those picks on the late round ain't gonna matter because they're gonna trade up for the guy that they like.
But John, I'm gonna say this. Hold on, because I know we're about to tell Nick we're confused, but John, I'm confused right now. Do you like the extension or don't you like the extension?
I don't know. I think that's a lot of money. I think that is a lot of money to a good player. I don't know if he's like, the perennial all-pro type of player, but that's a good player. You can afford to do that in this time frame, in this window that the Houston Texans are operating in, and we're seeing guys restructure their contract for the next couple of seasons just in time to win. They got to pay C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. It gives Houston flexibility while also keeping their best players in-house. I guess my thought process is, are they done looking at receivers in free agency? Are they going to completely focus their sights to the draft? Are they
still got enough money to sign Stephon?
But I don't know. Like, are they at a place right now that no more free agent offensive linemen are coming in, right? You just signed Cam Robinson, Tomlinson, Ed Ingram. They're doing what they feel like is best. A lot of pressure is going to be put on Cole Popovich, which we talked about. A lot of pressure is going to be put on Nick Caley to get the most out of some of these guys. But Houston is a franchise that takes care of their players, and I think we can all agree on that.
Well, John, I want to say this. One, and I clapped earlier. I think that this extension for Danielle Hunter is definitely going to pan out for the Houston Texans, and he's one of the players that started off slow. And I mean, you could expect that, being in that system for the first time, still learning expectations on what the defense requires. But then you could tell once he got it and once he knew exactly what they wanted from him, you could just see him steadily increase throughout the season. And as he increased, then you watched on the other side, Will Anderson Jr. increase. And so what I talked about before when I said that I feel like some of that money that Derek Stingley got was because of the example he sets for Kamari Lassiter and the example that he sets for Kalen Bullock. I think that Danielle Hunter is also getting that type of money because of the example that he sets for Will Anderson Jr., the things that he taught him. You'll listen to Will and you'll hear Will talk about how Danielle how Danielle helped him and to learn how to use his hands more effectively on the field. And so I just think that that's one of the things that, being the example for Will is also, one of the reasons why they want to keep Danielle here, at least for the amount of time that he is, because then it'll be time to pay, other players. But by that point, they've gotten, exactly what they need, because Danielle Hunter has been in the league for a while now.
Yeah.
And playing at the level that he plays. But I will say this, John, let me say this real quick. They gave him 2 years. You're looking at Danielle. Danielle probably has another good 5 or 6 years in him because of the way that he trains, the way that he treats his body, the way that he makes sure that he's on point with everything. Because a lot of people don't realize Danielle used to run track, so he treats his body like he's still running track, except of course lifting weights and things like that. But John, look, did you have anything else you wanted to say? Because I need to get off my chest.
No, I'm gonna give it over to you, but I will say this: this was supposed to be Danielle's last year.
Mm-hmm.
They extended out another year. Hey, listen, this is a championship window the Houston Texans are operating in, and I think of all of the moves that have been made, questionable offensive line moves. I mean, they move on from Laremy Tunsil, who, regardless of how I felt about him as a run blocker, one of the better pass blockers in the NFL. Like, they move on from some of these guys that, whether good or not, they moved on from them. But then you bring in Ed Ingram, Tomlinson, and now Cam Robinson. I think those are still kind of 3 question marks. Aside from that, everything that the Houston Texans have done so far have made sense to operate and give themselves a real shot in this championship window. So the last thing that I think they need to do is just go find a receiver in the draft.
John, in basketball, when a player gets the ball like this and he stands up, he put the ball right here and he'd be like, you know what that means? Hey, clear out. ISO, right? John, look right now. No, clear out. I don't need the pick. I'm about to get to the rack. I don't need no picks. I don't need no screens. I don't need nothing. Just clear out. I'm about to go one-on-one. Let me ISO. Hey, John, I don't understand what the hell the Houston Texans are doing when it comes to the offensive line. Why would you go and look at Minnesota Vikings line and say, hey, let's get the 2 worst players that they had? John, you watch football just as much as I do, and you watch more than just the Texans. Did anybody not see how Cam Robinson played against the Los Angeles Rams in the wild card game? People don't realize that the last two games that he played, he gave up 21 pressures. John, last season, his pass blocking grade was okay, 70.4. His run blocking was 59.9. Now, wait a minute now, Nick Caley. You said that you wanted to run the ball. So you went out and you got one of the worst run blockers. What did you do? You downgraded. You got a bootleg. Hey, what's that place that they be buying? Temu? Is it Temu?
Temu.
They got a Temu Laremy Tunsil. Who is okay in pass blocking, but he's not good in run blocking. Hey, John, guess what? Hey, Laremy Tunsil had too many penalties. He had 19 penalties last year. Well, guess what? Cam Robinson had 13. And so, yes, while it is a lot of penalties for a left tackle in what Laremy had, it's a lot of penalties in him as well. Hey, John, what about the injury history that he has? He didn't messed up both his knees and he tore his ACL. Hold on, John. I'm not finished yet. He gave up 7 sacks last year, right? 7 sacks last year. He in 4 seasons with the Jaguars, he was ranked 19, 29, 16, and 33rd in pass blocking.
Say those numbers one more time.
19th, 29th, 16th, and 33rd.
Do. 45, 47.
Right, John? Got injured, got benched, and let's not forget that he's also been suspended for PEDs. Yeah. So now, hold on. We keep talking about a culture that you're trying to set in that offensive line room. You know, everybody's been coming out talking about, the offensive line room is toxic and this, that, and other. Then you go out and you bring in some players who have some questionable pass in Ed Ingram and Cam Robinson. Now, look, let me say this. Both of them may just needed a new start. Ed Ingram, hey, man, you got benched for ineffectiveness. You may come to the Houston Texans and turn into an all-pro guard. Cam Robinson, you may come here and you may finally make your first Pro Bowl or your first get your first all-pro being in a new system. Hey, man, look, and sometimes everybody needs a new start, John. I know this for a fact. There's a lot of times that I just needed a new start. So, yes, it may be. John, I can come back here later on in the season and be talking about how these guys have step their game up, how they look good in training camp, how they look good in the regular season. We could be talking about that, but as of right now, March 19th, it stinks. It's putrid. And I know that people had Cam Robinson estimated to go somewhere else to get $14 million a year, and he was going to get, he was looking for a 3-year deal, and the Houston Texans got him in 1 year for $12 million up to $14.5 million. But still, what have you done? John, you didn't want CJ to get hit. You didn't want CJ to get sacked. And then you go out and you get a Timu Laremy Tunsil. So what are you saying? What are you saying to what are you saying to the rest of your office? What are you saying to your franchise quarterback? Hey, man, we want to protect you, but we got to try to find you at our price. And last thing, John, Nick, we're confused. I'm confused on why you can't find a good offensive line. Yes, Blake Fisher, I think, is going to be amazing. Juice Scruggs, I think, is going to be good. Jared Patterson, I think, is going to be good. For CJ, you need great. The Philadelphia Eagles went out and said, hey, we need to protect this young man. So whatever it takes, this is what we're going to do. That's exactly what Nick needs to do. And John, Cam Robinson, to me, is not it. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I'm sorry, because I just wanted you to have the floor. Thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Hey, listen, if you feel like Sarge, please be sure to subscribe, like, but then also comment about your feelings about Cam Robinson now being a Houston Texan. Follow me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at John_Hickman12. And tell a friend to come on back.
And he wasn't even good in Jacksonville. Make sure you follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Sarge Sports with a Z at the end. It got me hot.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, and Cam Robinson's people. Peace. Shout out to Sting.